Okay, I'm intrigued. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and Plum Wizard gave me a dealer's choice donation deck list. I kind of went to MTG Goldfish and MTG Top 8 browsing deck lists, and then I found a deck list playing a Jellyfish. And at that point, I stopped looking at everything else and decided that we had to play this deck. Esperzoa is a card that I remember fishing out of, like, I think it was a box of like commons and uncommons when I first started playing, and I was like, whoa, a 4/3 flyer, it's so big. And now we're going to see this seeing some play in Legacy, which is kind of wild. So I believe this deck list is from a top 16 finish from a Legacy challenge, where we are going to be trying out Simulacrum Synthesizer again. This is a card that I've been pretty lukewarm on. I'm kind of a believer that the floor on this card is too low to be consistently Legacy playable, but the ceiling is incredibly high. And our good friend Esperzoa wants to sort of abuse that ceiling. The idea is, at the beginning of your upkeep, you return an artifact to your hand. You return one that costs 3 or more mana, so that every single turn you can trigger Simulacrum Synthesizer. It's sort of a neat idea, and if you instead, I don't know, return a Thought Monitor, then you have a draw 2 every turn, maybe a draw 2 that is triggering Simulacrum Synthesizer, and that all of a sudden sounds pretty neat. The deck list that you're looking at here is sort of unique. It is playing some depletion lands, which these sort of blue Stompy decks usually don't do. But this deck really wants to get to 3 mana, and it's going down this like Trinisphere Staxy route rather than a Bauble Emery route that you might see from a lot of decks that looks something similar to this. We are playing a good number of pitch spells, and we also have Sicarian Infiltrator as a way to trigger our synthesizer and draw a bunch of cards at the same time. Notably, with the squad copies of this, I believe this does trigger Simulacrum Synthesizer multiple times, and we have Trophy Mage to go and tutor up our synthesizers as well. There's some weird deck building going on here. We are a Trinisphere deck at the same time we are a Force of Will deck, and this is a bit of a non-bow. But if you view this as these are separate pieces that stop our opponent from doing whatever it is that they want to do until we can get this stuff set up, at which point we can probably roll over a lot of fair decks, it's maybe not so bad, but we're probably going to come across some awkwardness over the course of this league. Sideboard has some spice. Static Orb was one that I had to read. As long as it's untapped, players can't untap more than 2 permanents during their untap step. Maybe that's an anti-control sideboard card. And then there is also Commandeer to gain control of a non-creature spell and choose new targets for it if we would like. That feels like it is in the realm of spicy rather than good, but I'm sure this is in here for good reason. So we're just going to have a good time. We're going to kill some people with some artifacts and try to jellyfish someone to death. That is my ultimate goal today. And should you need some of these sweet blue cards, check out toamagic.com. Use promo code ThrabenU when you do to save 5% on your order. I recently ordered some stuff from them. It came way faster than I expected, and I already expected fast shipping. Thumbs up to TOA. They're good people. Let's battle. Okay, so turn 1 this cycle, turn 2 2 mana, turn 2 Chalice of the Void. I don't have 3 mana for this. I don't have something to easily trigger it afterwards. I don't think I am into this hand. I'm going to assume that this hand gets better and keep this one. Turn 1 Shadow Spear, turn 2 Trinisphere. We'll work on Thought Monitor slightly after that. Maybe not the Shadow Spear. Definitely not the Shadow Spear. Okay, so Trinisphere was the thing that made me keep my hand, and not being able to play the Shadow Spear also gets in the way of my Thought Monitor cast, which is a little annoying. That's what we needed. That is absolutely what we needed. So the goal is now to just bury my opponent in artifact tokens. I do not want another Ancient Tomb. I have 2 more land drops here. I don't want this as well. So if we're playing the guessing game of what is my opponent playing, it feels like they are a red-green initiative deck, maybe. I wouldn't be too surprised to see things like Caves of Chaos Adventurer, Under Mountain Explorer, Fury, Minsk and Boo. Hey, there we go. Or sorry, Under Mountain Adventurer, not Under Mountain Explorer. This one has Vigilance. It is relatively large. How much do you actually cost right now? You cost 5 right now. So I guess I am paying 2 life this turn. And my baseline here is a 4/4, but because of Forge, that's not going to be immediately good enough. And this Shadow Spear not entering play at the beginning of the game might kind of be a deal breaker. My Construct token is 1 smaller. My Construct token can't get lifelink. I couldn't cast Thought Monitor next turn, or last turn, yeah. Now Fury plus Reflection of Kiki Jiki is live. I'm taking 7 here. I think I'm just out of this game. I don't want to exaggerate and say that like losing the die roll lost me this game, because my opponent still got a lot of really strong going. Oh god, there's another one. A lot of really stuff going on here, but without winning the die roll, I don't think I had a chance. Now I can't even tap this Ancient Tomb unless I can. Blue! We're dead. So Dismember for these creatures is reasonable. This is non-creature, so I can't use this to take an initiative creature or anything. I could use it to get a Fable. That's kind of mid. Let's start in this direction. My Chalice of the Void and Trinispheres are quite actively bad. That gets me 3 Dismembers in. It removes a decent number of artifacts for the purposes of Simulacrum Synthesizer. I might be keeping some Trinispheres just to trigger these. I think I will take Force of Negation. Yeah, this is awkward. I mean, I guess I could commandeer a Fable or something. I don't know. I am not the biggest fan of this. I don't know that we really chill either. So if I keep this, I am just playing an Urza Saga beatdown game. Am I on Swiftfoot boot or not Swiftfoot boots? Lava Spur boots? No, I'm not. Why am I not on Lava Spur boots? I think this hand's okay. But it's basically just a 2-card hand. Like, it's basically just these 2 cards. I don't have anything else to do beyond this. I'm going to try to fish for something that has something better. So this one, Chrome Mox is going to be kind of weird in this deck, huh? So Ancient Tomb, Chrome Mox, Trophy Mage, under Chrome Mox, tutor up my thingy-majig. This hand seems like it is going to be a keep. Oh, fuck. I can't both put Trophy Mage under Chrome Mox and cast it, huh? Yeah, so this imprints a non-artifact, non-land card. That's incredibly awkward. Not sure which of these to keep. I think this one, so I can just play something on turn 1. So my whole goal here is to just do something prior to Urza's Saga hitting play. I guess this has flash. I could wait. I guess then it gets opened up to Red Elemental Blast and such, though. Hey, we found a synthesizer. Basically Trophy Mage. Just look at it sideways. Squint real hard. My Force of Wills just got worse. There's a turn 1 Fable. You got it. We'll get Urza's Saga going. I should have played this first. Fuck. Never mind, I am a genius. This was bait, so my synthesizer did not eat Force of Vigor. Planned that. But now we synthesizer. Opponent's down to 1 card. No to both of those. You don't have any evasion or anything, so we'll call it a turn. And now this looting happens. Or doesn't. My opponent presumably wants to get to 4 mana to play something with the word initiative on it. They don't immediately. However, I whiff on my draw. Again, the floor of this card is 3 mana Scry 2. 19. Alright, no immediate play. I expect a play from my opponent this turn, though. They did not make a land drop last turn, so mana seems to be a bottleneck of some kind. It's probably alleviated by the treasure token. Unless it's something like Fury that's over there. Oh, am I just eating another Force of Vigor? I am, and we see the terrible floor of this card. Force of Negation, uncastable. I think I am just going to die to a singular Fable of the Mirrorbreaker. Reflection of Kiki-Jiki did not copy this token. I guess they can copy at the end step. Playing Trinisphere right now doesn't really do anything. I'm just going to pass the turn, then take 6. Then these Ancient Tombs are off. Yeah, I think we could just move on to the next one. Yeah, it's not happening. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and I could say all sorts of great things about them, but I'm just going to point to this number. I have 488 deck lists stored on this site. That should give you a feel for how I feel about this website. And if you were to go to my profile, you could see all the deck lists that I'm messing around with, including my EDH decks, and you can even see some of the deck lists I record with before they hit the channel. Ooh. Okay, so I have a hand that produces a Trinisphere on turn 2, but does not, have the best game plan. Due to this being a depletion land, I can't just, Esperzoa keep recycling this for a whole bunch of value. I'm just going to lose my land. I think I'm going to try to do better than this. My opponent says hello to the internet. Second hand here is slow. I think I keep it. This is kind of the plan. How many basic lands are in this deck? There are 4 basic lands in this deck. I think I'm just going to keep the maximum number of things that trigger my synthesizer. Opponent is mulliganing pretty aggressively. I can't just drop a Trinisphere on turn 2 with this hand unless I top deck something like an Ancient Tomb. So we're just going to make our land drop pass, hope for the best. Are we combo Underground Sea or fair Underground Sea? Never didn't have it. Okay, so do I cast the Ancient Tomb? Or sorry, do I cast the Trinisphere? I think I cast the Trinisphere. I lose out on some Simulacrum Synthesizer value, but if my opponent is aggressively mulliganing here, I think I want to potentially lock them under Trinisphere. Then I can do this into this, do this with Squad, make 2 tokens, make my opponent sad. They don't get to animate dead or reanimate immediately. Due to the cycling, we know they've got at least this land drop, and the question is, do they have the following land drop as well? So, bam, take 2, bam. I do not want these cards. I will bottom both. The Trinisphere does trigger this, which is fine and dandy. But I think at this stage of the game, I would rather just be finding Thought Monitors, Shadow Spear, Urza Saga, that sort of stuff. Ooh, no additional land from my opponent. So I'll go ahead and pass the turn. I'll flash this in during their upkeep to feel fancy. Squad! So we're putting triggers on the stack. There's probably an optimal way to stack these. I'm not going to think too much about it. Hey, there's that Thought Monitor I said I wanted. So we talked about the floor of Simulacrum Synthesizer already. Just 3 mana Scry 2. This is what the ceiling looks like. 8, 16, 17, 18 power generated after casting 1 spell. Or I guess 2 if you count the synthesizer itself. So we are maybe playing against Riscaminator. That's probably going to be kind of my default here. My deck is probably fine against this deck. I can consider Dismember. Maybe not crazy to go for something like Commandeer. Just Commandeer on a turn 2 reanimate or animate dead. Could do some disgusting things. I don't know that I need the Leyline. I have Force of Wills and Force of Negations as generic cards. And just as easily die to, Douthie, Voidwalker. Honestly, even just an Orcish Bowmasters or something will kill me if I'm on Ancient Tomb draws. Is this an X1? No. Yeah, I think I want Dismembers for Bowmasters and Trolls. I am unsure how good some of my, like, lock pieces are. I could see Chalice as cuttable, I could see Trinisphere as cuttable, I could see Trophy Mage as cuttable for being slow. Esperzoa is a little situational. I think I might trim the Jellyfish here. It seems like I am not going to have the life to repeatedly play stuff. I don't know. I'm gonna trim a couple of Chalices and try this. I don't think I have enough mana here to keep this one. Let's mulligan. This is a hand that has lands and spells, but does not look like it actually wins the game. My opponent is mulliganing super aggressively. I wonder if I have the wrong read on their deck. This hand's very good. Hand's very, very good. This is 5. Well, I'm keeping it. I could Urza Saga on turn 1, Chrome Mox, put Trophy Mage under it, or maybe just Trinisphere on turn 2. Like bam, 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 Trinisphere. I could Trinisphere on turn 1, it beat my opponent last game. Just makes Urza Saga very awkward. So I think I am into this. Just pass on the turn. Force of Will is sort of a weird one here. It is not a bad card. It's just weird. Like, after mulling to 5, having 2 different things that want me to go down another card is a little rough. Troll is fine. I will Force of Will reanimate if that happens, I believe. And it is happening. Not the biggest fan of this, but it feels correct. Why do you keep popping out like that? Okay. So my opponent is down to 1 card. However, there is a troll in play, and I don't have a blue card for this Chrome Mox Urza Saga situation. Hey, found a blue card for this Chrome Mox Urza Saga situation. So let's get this to produce mana, and then just kind of hope that I can Shadow Spear my way to victory or something. I haven't mathed this out yet. I don't have that many artifacts. We both mulliganed quite a bit. Force Will Pitch, Dress Down. Interesting. Probably a sideboard card rather than a main deck card. Seat is actively good. That's just something else that I can put in play. Contributes towards an artifact count for Urza Saga, Shadow Spear nonsense. I guess it's very, very fortunate that I am currently at 13 life and not 12. Also unfortunate that I do not have Lava Spur Boots in my deck, though. Because I think they just instantly win me this game, right? This is a 4/4 immediately. Am I just getting Shadow Spear and equipping, getting in there for 5? If I don't, I lose to land Bowmaster. Oh, I also just have Aether Spellbomb. What am I talking about? Let's make a dude. Aether Spellbomb. Attack for 6. Opponent is at 6. I guess I play around Stifle by sending this to hand before they can take another draw step. They need to hit a land. We have gotten the GGs. Let's move on to the next one. Alrighty. We have a good 6-card hand. The Force of Will that is in this hand is pretty dead. If this Chalice resolves, I am also going to put a Chalice on 0 here. Just literally increase my artifact count, and then hope to ride this single Urza Saga to victory. If I do draw some blue cards and I get Force of Will to back up this Urza Saga, it ends up kind of being Wasteland that is now the scariest thing against me. Getting a weird pause from my opponent, they may be considering conceding immediately to hide information, which is what's happening. So this could just be a fair blue deck that just got by Chalice. This could be a combo deck. I probably am just not going to sideboard for this next game. Like, I could take some called shots and board in Force of Negation or something like that, but I think I am just going to whack the submit deck button and call it good enough. I don't think I like this hand. We technically have access to blue mana, but we don't really have a plan other than counter stuff. And I would like a hand with a plan. Well, this worked last time, so we're going to run that back. I might just be getting rid of my blue mana here. It's get rid of blue mana or get rid of Force of Will. I think in case my opponent is playing a Wasteland deck, I'm going to keep the extra land and get rid of Force of Will. Fair blue deck or unfair blue deck? Probably fair blue deck. I think unfair blue deck, like Show and Tell, keeps playing after a Chalice on one. Ooh. So maybe something in the Storm combo ballpark is looking pretty likely here. The Force of Will would have been fine if I had a blue card to pair with it. Now we know. Galvanic Relay is perfectly reasonable, but hopefully will be countered by my Chalice. Yeah. Assuming these Chalices work, this is very, very good. So we will start with a 1-mana Chalice to shut off both Ponders. We will follow up with a 0-mana Chalice to shut off Chrome Mox. And this means that my opponent hemorrhaged resources on Galvanic Relay to get a land drop. I guess technically they could get to Echo of Eons mana. I guess I'm not going to yield through this turn in case they do somehow end up echoing. Oh yeah, that's what I like to see. Now we just work on Urza Saga to just close out the game. I absolutely cannot start celebrating yet. But this is a real tough spot for our opponent. I think if they don't have anything to do with their mana at my end step, that they should have cast these spells so that there are more cards in their graveyard for later. That's fine. So it's just a land drop and pass. Go ahead and Island Cycle. Love a 1-mana cantrip that does not run into my Chalice of the Void. Hey, there's another one. Never playing this. I think I'm going to go ahead and play the Depletion land and call it a turn. That way I can at least cast this next turn for another look at a Force of Will type card. That's fine. Yep. My opponent is probably going to be hard-pressed to remove one or multiple Chalices and then still have enough to go off afterward. So we're going to take advantage of this window the best that we can. Still wish I had Lava Spur Boots in the deck. It's super relevant. Opponent is now pausing, waiting to do something. I think I'm picking up Soul Guide Lantern off Urza Saga. More Lorien revealed. Let's just keep my life total higher here. Do this. So let's Soul Guide Lantern. Take some random card out of the graveyard. Do this. I hit for 6. All right, I could hit for 5. That's 13, 5, 10. This is still lethal next turn. I don't think I have to play this immediately and lose the life. We just still have lethal next turn. Yeah, that's just another land drop. So now we'll go ahead and cast this. This is going to add 3 more power to the board. 1 from this, 2 from these, and that presents lethal. And that is good enough for the concession. I don't think the mana works out reasonably in this hand. We're going to mulligan this one. This does not work mana-wise. This has no plan to win. I can keep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, I can keep this, but I have no lock piece. I have no Urza Saga. I have no synthesizer. I think I'm mulliganing. I'm going to think about it for a second. Yeah, I'm gonna go deeper. I am not really rewarded. At this point, I'm just keeping. I get 4 of these. This is probably the best hand that I've seen thus far, but that's not saying much. We are playing against lands. So my Trinisphere is not great. My lands are vulnerable. Not looking good. At least they didn't have Life from the Loam as well. But I fully believe that I have lost this one already, and it is just a matter of time. I don't think I am going to concede immediately, because, you know, I can theoretically top deck a synthesizer and just draw hotter than the sun after that and outdo my opponent's Urza Saga. But I am a crop rotation away from literally dying. Yeah, that's fine. I'll cycle in response. Grab an island. The Urza Saga gets Expedition Map and then kills me? Well, I mean, that is what I asked for. No! Bug and Sphere! Fuck. Okay. So the Urza Saga token starts out small. If my opponent has Lava Spur Boots, because it's a good card and should be in decks that have Urza Saga, I get punched by a lot here if they don't just go for the, oh, I'm going to make a 2020 plan, which is also perfectly reasonable. I think I'm dead to either plan. It is booties. And port. Fuck me. We're dead. Absolutely dead. Oh. Pithing Needle, good. Static Orb, probably good. Leyline is questionable. It doesn't do anything against the initial Dark Depths combo. It doesn't do anything against Urza Saga. It is good against Life from the Loam specifically. I would prefer Force of Negation over Leyline. Commandeer is interesting on, say, a crop rotation. They do the sacrificing, and then I search for an Urza Saga. That sounds kind of neat. My Chalices and Trinispheres are mid. I think I'm going to start by getting rid of Chalice for these 4 cards. Then I'm going to search my soul and decide whether or not I want to play Commandeer for the video. For the video, we'll do it. Go down some Trinispheres, question mark? Trinispheres not particularly good against land-based strategies. I think I am keeping a couple to trigger my synthesizer. So, Chrome Mox, Imprint, gotta be one of these. Wasteland on this is a disaster. Chrome Mox, Imprint, Lorien Revealed, Ancient Tomb, Trophy Mage for synthesizer. Have multiple of these as follow-up. I think I'm into that. I can Force of Will something scary if it happens. Opponent kept their 7. I guess I have a Force of Will for if my opponent has something like Force of Vigor. Synthesizer is a go. Please don't wasteland me. All right. I could Force of Will that. I'm not going to. I could. Boots? Boots are good. I don't think they're worth my Force of Will, but they're good. Not super interested in playing out another Chrome Mox as of right now. If I decide I don't end up needing this Force of Will, we can talk Saga? I don't think so. I think I have other things to do with my mana. I think I'm going to keep Seat instead. So if I don't Force of Will in the next turn cycle, I am going to Chrome Mox, get rid of Force of Will, play my land drop, Sicarian Infiltrator with Squad, make multiple Urza Saga tokens immediately. And I can do so at instant speed, should I so desire. All right, we're chilling. So I think at this point, I don't need the Force of Will anymore. My attack here into the 3/3 does not make sense, so I'll go ahead and just pass the turn. You may make your friend. Then I assume this is happening again. It is another Mox Diamond. Sure. I imagine boots are going here. Shadow Spear. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 8 artifacts. I'm thinking about whether or not I want to draw towards a Force of Will. If I try to draw towards a Force of Will, I telegraph this. I don't think that matters. I do need to take the life here. Let's do some stuff. Draw my card. Don't love that one. We'll do this again. Ooh, it is a Force of Negation. So, that fine? That seems fine. Let's just keep my opponent from gaining life and bash them with my larger construct tokens. I assume this is just equipping the boots. And I am correct. Yup. And that's enough to bury my opponent here. I'm happy enough with this. I could consider Dismember, trying to stop hasty Urza Saga tokens from getting in. But it'd be taking the place of something like Trinisphere that triggers the Synthesizer, and as we just saw, the Synthesizer kind of matters a lot. This hand does not have a plan to win. Static Orb is neat, but probably not good enough. I don't have enough blue cards for Commandeer. This has lands and spells. It does not have a plan. I go Seat into Pithing Needle, into Tapped Land, into Ancient Tomb, into this. That's currently kind of where I'm going. I'm not the most excited about this hand. I think I'm going to keep it. I can Force of Negation if my opponent starts with some sort of Life from the Loam hand. Alright, it's just a land drop. I am not even sure if I cast Pithing Needle immediately here. I think I'm going to go with no and just pass the turn. Get this tapped land out of the way. Okay. Don't mind losing that instead of the Seat. That's fine. At this point, I think I will play out the Pithing Needle to increase my artifact count. And I think I'm going to go with Thespian's Stage as my name. Shut off the Dark Depths side of the deck, at least for the time being. I am more afraid of my opponent having Urza Saga right now than anything else. That's fine. I do actually have islands. So I am good with that exchange. And I've got some infiltrators as redraws. They're redraws that cost me 2 life, but if they are increasing my artifact count, that starts to put this more into range. Well, luckily, I didn't have a good hand, and my opponent also didn't have a good hand. So we have bad hands together. Take my card. Soul Guide Lantern is kind of whatever. I am going to main phase cast this to see if I draw something like an Urza's Saga that would be a better land to immediately play than this card, and I did not. Little love tap. Thought Monitor is getting into the realm of playable here. Tabernacle is actively annoying. It is a Life from the Loam. Guess I will Force of Negation that. My Thought Monitor got much worse. I'm going to keep these around for now. At some point, I may let them go. Like, they are costing both of us 2 life each turn cycle. How much do you cost? 4. Understood. Alright, how do triggers work? Active players go on the stack, then non-active players go on stop. Non-active players resolve first. So Tabernacle trigger resolves before Esperzoa trigger. I think I am just going to do this. Permanently take Wasteland out of graveyard and hedge against another Life from the Loam being drawn. Well, there's some awkwardness. I think I'm going to continue to tap Ancient Tomb for this. Force of Will's kind of whatever. We have this covering the graveyard. Blast Zone gets rid of both of these at the same time. You're now castable. Not necessarily the best to cast you, but I think I need more than what I have right now. Urza's Saga is perfectly fine. And I guess Commandeer is active as well. So I guess that's a thing. That is a played out Boseiju. So that can answer both of these via Blast Zone. So do I just cycle this to draw a card? Try to hit more land drops? I think I like it. Hey, more land drops. Also, ow. Alright, I've paid for all my stuff. That is Force of Vigor. I'm going to be Force of Willing that. Pitching Commandeer. My opponent doesn't have any good targets. Goodbye. It's another Infiltrator. It's not particularly a great card on this board. Again, I know I've said this a lot, but holy shit, Lava Spur Boots in this deck. Big game. Matters a lot. My opponent tapped and untapped a green. I think they have a crop rotation. Crop rotation, do something like get rid of a tabernacle for a stage. They would still need a way to get rid of my pithing needle, and then I would still have flying blockers beyond that, so I think I am okay. No end of turn crop rot. I think at this point I'm gonna go ahead and lose this land, make my token. So I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 damage. As long as I put one more artifact into play, I am good. It's gonna cost me 2 life to keep all of these. I don't think I'm making the extra Urza Saga token here. Actually, on board Blast Zone. No, I'm still gonna keep all this. So I'm at 7 when all that is said and done. It is a crop rotation. We could see something like Maze of Ith here. Glacial Chasm instead, sure. The Tabernacle's gone. I'll do my Urza Saga tutoring. Chromux doesn't do me any good, I just have blue artifacts. Shadow Spear doesn't do me any good while Glacial Chasm is in play. So I think I am getting Spellbomb to have an out to a Merit Lage should that end up happening. It's a little awkward because there is an onboard blast zone, so getting the spell bomb is something that is presumably ultimately going to die to the blast zone. But it's not like the 0-cost artifacts do me any good. That's annoying. This helps a bit, I guess. Yes. Aether Spellbomb has been named. Trophy Mage is interesting, but it kind of feels like Esperzoa is currently the prize. As weird as that is to say. Okay, opponent did not crack Blast Zone. Note that this is return an artifact. So this does not target. My opponent does not know what artifact I am returning until this ability resolves. So that's a thing. So I can do this, bounce my Pithing Needle, replay my Pithing Needle, and force activations on Urza Saga or Blast Zone immediately. I can also later do this on Thought Monitor. I think for now I'm just going to return Pithing Needle. Absolutely don't mind non-Ancient Tomb lands here. That's actively good. Alright, so there is the Urza Saga activation. And now, am I naming Blast Zone or am I naming Urza's Saga right now? Probably just Saga. Yeah, I think I just don't want my opponent to have more artifacts. They're about to lose this land. They're about to lose this land. I am thinking if I want to use 2 of my remaining 5 life points to cast a Trinisphere or a Trophy Mage here. I think I'm interested in casting a Trinisphere. My opponent's mana is very taxed right now, and I think I just want to make the literal next turn cycle more awkward for them. Alright, Glacial Chasm down. Urza Saga about to go as well. Shadow Spear is fine. Oh my god, Yavimaya is so effing good for me. Alright, Shadow Spear is going on. I have Theoretical Lethal in the air here. I can now bounce my Pithing Needle if I would like. I think I'm into this. I can reset this, put it on like Maze of Ith, so crop rotation can't stop one of these creatures from getting in. So all these cards blue. Or actually, why don't we do green, 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 do Pithing Needle this way. Name Maze of Ith. Attempt lethal damage in the air. I guess another Boseiju keeps them alive for a turn. It is a Swords to Plowshares instead. Sure. That puts my opponent to 1. Horizon Canopy doesn't tap for mana anymore. These have the same amount of toughness. My opponent doesn't get to see this one coming. I think it's just better to play this one, though. Static Orb is kind of funny at this point, but I think I'll just pick this up. So I held back this so we weren't dead to some sort of crackback swing. I have more than enough toughness to block this, even if this creature is sent in. 3 mana Life from the Loam. Tabernacle doesn't do it. The old Mox Diamond, discarding Forest. Yeah, that'll do. I've got him in the air here. All right. Well, the Esperzoa did some work there in terms of like resetting artifacts. Like that was neat. Like I put down a Trinisphere to slow down my opponent, but if I wanted to vomit all the stuff from my hand, I can just pick my Trinisphere back up. Good stuff. All right, final round here. We're already positive, so another win here would just be cool at this point. This is an Urza Saga hand that is backed by Force of Will. That's perfectly acceptable. So this is probably Ancient Tomb Chalice on 1 into Urza Saga Trinisphere on 2, backed by Force of Will. You may ponder. I don't love seeing Grief here. I'm just going to let that happen, though. I don't think it's worth Force of Willing to protect Chalice. Like, if my opponent takes the Force of Will, I get to Chalice. This gives them some information, but I don't think I want to 2-for-1 myself, get dazed, and then, like, also you lose Chalice on top of that. Alright, I have lost Chalice. So now the question is, like, what land am I playing? If I want to stay as aggressive as possible, it's Ancient Tomb into Urza Saga. If this gets wastelanded, it's not really the end of the world, so I think I am going to stay the course on that. And I will probably end up paying 2 life to get an extra land out of my deck. You may cycle, that's fine. And then it's a brainstorm afterwards. Sort of awkward timing. You would prefer to brainstorm and then troll, but I'm assuming that they only have 2 lands if they played this out that way. I'm willing to pay the life here. I think the island in hand is better than a different blue card for the purposes of Force of Will. Trophy Mage. Not bad. I think I'm still going this route, though. No answer to Trinisphere. That does make my Force of Will worse, like, admittedly, but it also just does that. So, looks like we're playing against Riscaminator. I probably want some number of Dismembers. Esperzoa seems slow. Trophy Mage seems slow. Lock pieces seem medium. If I do this, there's not actually that many cards that go under Chrome Mox. How good is Force of Negation? Some of the Animate Dead, Reanimate stuff I would really like to counter. That might be better than this. I could actually probably go down a couple of Sicarian Infiltrators versus an Orcish Bowmaster's deck. Let's try something like this. From Mox, Imprint, Lorien Revealed, Ancient Tomb, these cards. This is perfectly fine as a keep. Alright, well, opponent can decide how they want to pick apart this hand. I can't super speculate about what they are supposed to take here. The Dismember gets rid of the Grief, but the Synthesizer and the Trinisphere are much more threatening things if they resolve, and the Chrome Mox is the thing that allows me to get to those. Alright, I've lost the Dismember. So I imagine this Grief is coming back right now. We'll see what my opponent wants to take. I have lost the Synthesizer. Well, alright. Yeah. This one? This one is a lot worse if Trinisphere actually resolves. Trinisphere is not the greatest here. Like, Trinisphere, after your opponent already has a threat in play, is not particularly a good play. But I think I have to just do it so my opponent does not add more to the board, and hope that I can just kind of overpower it. Oh, baby. That's a good one. You cost too much, right? Yeah, you cost 5. Yeah, so we will play an Urza Saga, pass the turn. Urza Saga for Shadow Spear actively beats Grief. And I can Lorien Revealed on top of this as well, so that I don't have to keep taking damage from Ancient Tomb. Seems good. I think my opponent has to hit running land drops to be in this game at this point. No, a Wasteland could do it. A Wasteland that stops me from doing the Urza Saga search can win my opponent the game, I think. Opponent was waiting to pay costs. They are still waiting. Buzz Trinisphere. Opponent's at 9. And now we just do the Urza Saga thing. 3/3 base. Oh, that's a fantastic draw, actually. 4/4 base. 5/5 base. 6/6 base. Whip Shadow Spear to the one that is capable of attacking this turn. And I don't think my opponent has any outs from here. And there is the immediate concession for a 4-1 finish. Alright, so how does the old Esperzoa deck feel? I feel like this is a good idea that is like almost there. The high number of blue artifacts in particular makes Chrome Mox kind of awkward. It worked, but it was kind of awkward. I'm also not sure if you get to play this many pitch cards at the same time, with Thought Monitor being the... And I guess Thought Monitor isn't the only card draw, like there's technically these as well. I think this is a deck that is of appropriate legacy power level, but it feels like between this and these extra ETB tapped lands that there's a little bit of clunk. I 100% want to take out any card from my deck at random to put a Lava Spur Boots into the 75, probably in the main deck. Like maybe you bump the Aether Spellbomb to the board. I would need more reps with this deck to know like what of these three is the most cuttable, or if you just like go down one Sicarian Infiltrator, or if you cut the Esperzoa for being cute. But this was really fun to play. Matches were interesting. I had some cool decisions, especially regarding Esperzoa, that I wasn't expecting. We saw the high highs and the low lows of this card. I'm gonna give this one the shaky thumbs up, where I think some reps could improve this list. Maybe we can tighten the sideboard up a little bit. I'm not sure about some of this stuff, like if those are the best uses of the slots. You know, maybe you want a Hurkyl's Recall for your artifact mirrors. You know, you've got options, but this is sweet. And if you need any of the cards for it, you know where to go. Promo code ThrabenU to save you 5% on your order. And I wish you and Esperzoa a great rest of the day. See ya!